again, gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Board Game Captain.
I'm Lynn.
And today we are going to be reviewing and talking about Exit the Game, The Stormy Flight. So first things first, I want to thank Thames and Cosmos, who published this game, for sending us a review copy of Exit the Game, The Stormy Flight to play and have fun with and film some content with. Before we get all the way into this, I do want to say, if you want to buy the shirt that I'm wearing today, which is the Buy Me Board Games and Tell Me I'm Pretty shirt, because sometimes your significant other maybe needs direction on what to get you and how to treat you on your anniversary, then go to our Teespring store. There's a link in the description down below where you can buy this and many other funny shirts that we have. They all come in lots of different colors. Check it out. There'll also be a link at the end of this video. So let's talk about stats on this. Do we have the designers listed on there?
Yeah, it's Inca and Marcus Brand.
Inca and Marcus Brand designed this particular installment of the Exit the Game series.
I believe they've done every installment.
I'm not sure. That there are some people that definitely were reoccurring, but the problem is...
the ones we've played. I remember their names on the ones we played.
The problem is that since when you play them, when you're done with them, you eventually, once we film our reviews, throw them away because they're not replayable. Recycle.
Everything is recyclable.
Yes, we do recycle. We recycle the box and everything once we're done with it. So I'm not sure. I don't have the stuff around to go check. But I could check online. I'm not certain at the moment. But yeah, so this one was definitely designed by Inca and Marcus Brand. This is the level is 2 out of 5 in complexity. It is listed as being a 1 to 4 player game because it is completely cooperative. Ages 10 and up, and a 1 to 2 hours. So, now I'm not sure if just some of the puzzles were sorts of puzzles that, maybe weren't our normal type of puzzles. We seem to have trouble with a few of them. I felt like this was a little harder than a 2. I think I probably would have rated it a 3 out of 5 on the complexity, but that might be subjective. That just might be puzzles that other people find incredibly easy.
Yeah. We started kind of in like the early evening, and I was like, It took us about 2 hours to finish it. But towards the, I want to say the last 45 minutes, I was losing steam and just being tired from that's the time in the day when I just get tired.
Yeah, we probably should have played it earlier. It was one of those things where it was late, and I was like, hey, do you want to play a game? And you were like, yes, let's play this one that they just sent us. And we yanked it out and played it, but we probably should have started earlier. Yeah. That's probably our fault. That's the sort of thing that can just happen.
I mean... Some of the puzzles that we had difficulty with, I probably gave up earlier than I would normally have just because I was tired. I was like, yeah, let's just look at the answer. You know what?
I would say all the puzzles but one in the occasions of the ones that we weren't able to figure out ourselves, when we found out what the answer was, I was like, oh, duh. Mm-hmm. We totally could have gotten that. I don't know what we were thinking. There was only one where we were doing it right.
And we just didn't.
We just couldn't read it. We'll talk a little. Yeah. We'll talk a little more about that in a minute. So this comes with all the standard kind of stuff you would expect in an Exit the Game. You've got your awesome dial, which these things are my favorite part of the Exit games. I think this system is brilliant. I love how these dials work for when if you think you have the right solution. It gives you numbers. You put the numbers in. It tells you what card to draw. You look at the card, and basically it helps you figure out, did you do it right or not? There was a book with all the stuff. And there was a rule book too.
I think it's underneath.
It's underneath. Okay, so there's a rule book. There was a book with all the extra hints and stuff. There was some extra stuff you could use for various puzzles. Of course, there were all the various riddle cards with the different letters. There's all the different, clue cards, which you have, the decks of the riddle cards and the clue cards all out on the table. And you have, of course, the big deck in order of the answer cards all out on the table. The one puzzle we had trouble with was the puzzle that used this cardboard mirror here. We were doing it right, and we were 100% doing it right because we were like, we got 1/3 of it. We don't want to give away what the puzzle is to you in case you get it better than us. But we were 100% doing it correctly. We looked through the 3 clue cards, which, again, though, something I have to commend this series on is the way they do the clue cards. The clue cards are the help cards, I should say. The help cards are fantastic. So the first one is your first clue card. Then you get your second clue card. And if you still can't get it, you have a solution card, which gives you the solution and tells you how they found it. Now, the one that used this, we went through the first two clues and we're like, we did that. We did that. We get to the third one, it tells you the solution and how you found the solution. And we're like, we did that. We just couldn't read the answer. So this was the only one I had a problem with. Every other one we either got ourselves and we're like, oh, that's brilliant. We figured it out. Or if we didn't get it when we went into the clues, we were
like, oh, we're dumb.
Yeah, oh, we're dumb. We should have gotten that.
Yeah.
So there was only one puzzle I had an issue with, which isn't too bad, because and there have been some of these escape room games that it had issues with multiple puzzles for sure. Like I know when we played the MacGyver game, even though we liked it, we definitely had issues with multiple. Granted, that one had like 5 different modules in it.
Yeah.
But we probably had issues with 1 to 2, maybe even 3 in some of the puzzles. But we're still able to have a good time. So the one is not too bad, having one that we had an issue with. Overall, I would say the puzzles in here were quite rewarding, especially the ones when, of course, the ones you actually figured out. But there were a few where either like I was like, oh, I got it, or you got it, you grabbed everything, we're like doing it. One thing I want to talk about is how, because of how many of these games will have answers to puzzles hidden on the actual box or in the box. Before we started playing, I came in the room, I was getting something to drink, and she's doing this.
I was right, too.
And then she like opens it up and starts pulling the box apart. I was like, what are you doing? And she goes, they always have answers hidden in the boxes. And she's like pulling it apart. It was fun. And you found at least one.
Yeah.
Just by pulling everything apart, which is something, you can do, I suppose. There's no rule against, looking at everything ahead of time. But there was even one you missed, though, that actually did have to do with the box that then we were able to figure out later, which was kind of cool. Because it was better hidden. It was better hidden amongst the box. What are your thoughts on the puzzles in this one?
I thought they were good. I enjoyed playing it. I think I may have enjoyed it a bit more if it had a theme that I was like super into, like being on a flight that's about to crash is not.
Well, that's so the theme, and I like that the theme is kind of light and silly in regard to it's not realistic at all. The theme is you're stuck on a flight, a bunch of the systems are out, and for some strange reason you have to figure out how to open a bunch of combination boxes to get the right materials, to get the vents back on, to open the cockpit door, get the radio working. Yeah. And that's all just silly, because no one would ever do it that way. That would never happen that way.
Because the pilot couldn't open the cockpit door either. He was like, you have to do it.
Right.
I can't.
And then once you do it, you have to get the radio working now that you're in the cockpit.
The pilot is like, I am piloting the plane.
Yeah,
I can't do anything.
There's no autopilot. The autopilot is out. So it was silly, and I okay. So now you were saying you weren't a big fan of the theme, but I like at least the return to the silliness of some of the previous Exit the games that we played, like Carnival. Was it Haunted Roller Coaster and House of Riddles?
Yes,
were the two that we played that were quite silly like this. I appreciate the silly theme. I liked it much better than the one that tried to take itself too seriously, Catacombs.
Yeah.
I don't like... These games really lend themselves much better to being more tongue-in-cheek. So I didn't like that one trying to take itself too seriously. I didn't find it enjoyable. I thought the theme was definitely better, but I agree with you that I did not like the theme as much as either Haunted Roller Coaster or House of Riddles. Those were even more fun and more frivolous and silly. This had some silliness to it, but then, like, of course, being on a plane that might crash is little less silly, a little more serious. Of course, it was done in a silly way, and it didn't try to take itself too seriously. So I did like it, though not as much as some of the others. I mean, it's all on a scale.
Yeah.
It's all on a sliding scale, right? The puzzles, though, what did you think of the actual puzzles?
I thought the puzzles were good.
I was gonna say
I enjoyed puzzling them out.
There were a couple we had trouble with, but then again, most of them once we looked at the answer, we were like, oh, that was our fault. Mm-hmm. We could have totally done this. We were blanking on it for some reason. I know we played this one two
Two-player.
players. It was just the two of us. So and also again it being late, I think there was some of it that might have been that I was having tired moments where because there was one where I was like I had it right, I just wasn't doing it right,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, what? I think it was like a tired moment because we were playing it so late. So that's on us. That is on us. Again, there was only that one that I really felt we had an issue with because we did it 100% right but couldn't get the answer. Okay, but other than that, I really like this. I mean, I don't know about you, but I thought this was really good. I enjoyed the puzzles. I thought the theme was interesting. They had a lot of pictures in here that were in the plane, and they really looked like stuff from in the plane. There was a bit that looked like the emergency escape diagram that you would use to find like the door over the wing and the door at the front, and it really looked like it. And there was another bit where they showed like the what do they call it, the galley where they make the food, and it really looked like a galley on a plane. I mean, they got the details really right, so I really liked that. And on quite a few of the puzzles, I felt were very rewarding when you got the solution because you were like, "Oh, silly me!" Like, I mean, there was one we were overthinking, and we're going back and forth with it, and then I went, "Oh, wait a minute! It can't be this simple, can it?" And it was because we were totally overthinking it. But then it was really rewarding when I was like, "Oh, that's how you do it," and you're like, "How'd you do that?" And I told you how I did it, and you're like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, I mean, it was cool. Do you have anything else you want to talk about in regard, of course, without giving away any of the solutions to puzzles or the end of the game? Because again, we don't want to ruin your experience playing these modules of exit the game. I do feel like before we get back to the anything else you want to add as final thoughts, what is your thought on the fact that I feel like Exit the Game is one game, and each one of these is a module for it because they basically all work off the same system.
They're all called Exit the Game, and they have a sub like.
Right. It's just that they all come with the rules to exit the game. It's just, but each one is an individual module, and once you've played one, you can kind of play them all.
Yeah, like I mean, I skimmed the rule book, but I mean,
it all just came back.
Yeah, I mean, I probably didn't really have to.
Well, just to refresh.
You just need to read it to see what you start with, basically.
Right. Well, you got to get all the decks of cards out on the table. You put the spinner on the table, and you're ready to go. You know, the decoder.
Yeah, well, it tells
wheel.
you what items you start with, and I think everyone
lots of cards.
Everyone is different. Well, because we started with the spinner, and then like one of the riddle cards, and then something else, and that was
I meant with the setup that you have tons of decks of cards out because you have all the hint cards, you have the clue cards, you have the answer card deck. There's tons of decks always out on the table. That's what most of the actual game is cards. Plus then the booklet. You have the booklet too. But did you have anything else you'd like to talk about this particular module, the Stormy Flight?
After you finish it, you do get a little thing to keep.
Yes. Good call. This was something that we talked about.
The Catacombs ones didn't have
Yes.
it.
This is something we talked about. With the Catacomb ones, they really tried to go that the Catacomb, it was two games in one. But it was like double the work and you didn't get a reward. Yeah, well, they tried to make it much more serious. And because they were making it much more serious, they didn't leave you with a silly prize at the end of it. Unlike the Haunted Roller Coaster and the House of Riddles, which each gave you a silly prize at the end, which, was just fun. I mean, it's something you may never use, but it's funny and it's enjoyable. Just be like, oh, that's a very characterful prize for this game. This one had a characterful prize in it. And actually, the prize in this one might be my favorite because actually it's one I think I could use. I'm not going to give away what it is. But I'm not gonna lie. Like, I think it's the one that I'm most likely to use of all the prizes.
Okay.
What do you think on that? Did you like the prize in this one?
Yeah, it was fine.
It's very characterful too, isn't it? It was very silly, which I like. I like the silly feel when they get silly with these. So, is there anything else you want to talk about with Exit the Game? Anything else we should?
I don't think so.
Exit the Game, the Stormy Flights. So, did you have any? We didn't actually talk about any downsides except for the one puzzle. Otherwise, I don't think I really have much in the way of downsides on this one. How about you?
No. I mean, if we're going with the theory that we had trouble with a lot of puzzles because we were tired and
we except for the one.
Except for
that one.
that one. Yeah, that would be my only downside to this. That and like, I mean, I'm sure a Stormy flight will be appealing to someone out there, just not really me.
Well, because because you have a fear of flying, so it kind of speaks to your primal fear or your primal phobia that you have already. Did you find it made you stressful at all, or
I didn't find it stressful. I mean, it wasn't
but you're
actually
just
on a plane.
you're just not a fan of the
I just didn't really find it interesting. I
Okay.
mean, I don't know. I don't find like TV shows and movies that take place on planes very interesting either.
You just don't like planes.
Yeah, but I like horror movies, so you would think that if I found it unsettling, I would actually like that. And I just find it kind of boring.
The
I
theme.
don't know. Yeah.
Okay, but you like the puzzles.
Yes.
Okay, so the puzzles were good. Again, we both had the same problem with the same puzzle, the one puzzle with the mirror. Otherwise, we thought all the rest of the puzzles were really good. Some of them I thought were great. There were some that I thought were absolutely brilliant in this one. All right, do you want to rate this one first, or shall I?
I'll rate it.
Okay, go ahead. How many stars out of 10 are you going to give to Exit the Game, The Stormy Flight?
I'm going to give it a 7. And that is because I enjoyed the puzzles. I thought the puzzles were good, but I was on the actual
theme.
Yeah.
But 7 is quite good. 7 means that, if this were a replayable game, you'd play it just about any time someone asked, maybe. But I'm right there with you, actually, which is why I was a little surprised. So I'm also going to give Exit the Game, The Stormy Flight, a 7. I think we can definitely recommend this one. At us both giving it a 7, this is a 2 thumbs up review from us here at the Board Game Captain. We both quite liked it. We both found this one to be an enjoyable game. And I think we can recommend it to you if you're a fan of these escape room games. This is one with some good puzzles, not too crazy difficult. You might have an issue with that one that we had, or maybe not.
Maybe with more people, too, because the more people you have, the more different ways you have of thinking.
Yeah, that is something we've found, that generally these games are easier when you have more people with a variety of perspectives around the table, because different people will be better at different puzzles, and there's always a variety of puzzles in here. We played this one with only 2 people, which is one of the smallest groups we've ever played one of these exit games with. We usually play them with 3 or 4, and we find with 3 or 4 that we have more people think of things we wouldn't think of.
Yeah. Or they think of something that we would eventually think of, but faster. Like, they look at it and they're like, oh, I know what to do. And you're just like, oh, I would have figured that out in like 20 minutes.
But they thought of it like...
Yeah.
Because it was just right for the way their brain worked.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do recommend this one, but maybe with specifically 3 or 4 players, so you have a good variety of perspectives. So there you have it. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns on Exit the Game, The Stormy Flight, or this video, feel free to put them in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see us do more reviews of games like this, be sure to give it a like, share it on all forms of social media, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelt with a K on YouTube. And until next time, Game on.